Welcome to another episode of Rennch. On today's show, I fabricate a radiator overflow tank out of a very unlikely source. I show you a process I've never showed on this channel before of how I make a part from prototype to in my hands. And I give you the best unboxing I have ever done on this channel. Welcome to Hell Week. It is about 8 days until I have to have the car in Las Vegas for SEMA. I can't even tell you how stressful it is. It's kind of crazy. The best analogy I can give you is if you've ever been to the dentist and they're like drilling or doing a root canal and your whole body's like really tight and you're like, oh man, I gotta relax. And so you just kind of relax from your feet and then your legs and then your arms, and then literally by the time it gets to your deep breath, you're already tight again. That was me last Monday going, holy shit, it's like 14 days left. And now it's 8 days left. I've just been in West Palm Beach for like my actual work for a few days, kind of right in the middle of this deadline. So the next week is going to be bonkers. It is going to be 18-hour days trying to get this thing done. And don't you guys worry, I've been seeing your comments. I'm not going to compromise on anything. There's just going to be things that are left out. The hope is that I can get the thing to SEMA as a complete car. Like you will see mostly what we saw in the renderings. There are a lot of moving parts, literally and figuratively, that I can't get. My wheels aren't gonna be what I want. I can just tell you that right now. There's no way I'm gonna be able to get my wheels done. The deck lid right now is being worked on by my buddy Jay from Builder Creator in Oregon, who's doing the scoop and the active aero tail in carbon fiber, which will be super cool. I've got to somehow get that tail back to me here in Long Beach and then get it to the paint shop along with my front and rear bumper that also have to be painted, as well as the calipers that have to be painted sometime this week. I've got almost no interior, but I'm working with Brian over at Achtung Craft to see if we can put something together so the thing looks pretty cool for SEMA. You'll see later in this video what Renline gave me. I have to say they've been so unbelievable to me and to this build. You will see later what we got. I've got some cool new stuff from Sparco, and at any rate, I will completely take you through a tour of the facility after. I'm actually recording this intro after I've done all the work on the car. So this is sort of would be a close, if you would. Later in the video, I show you guys how I created a transmission mount from scratch, and then I digitized it using Fusion 360 and then sent it over to SendCutSend to have it laser cut. Well, the good news is in the week or so it's been since I've done that, the piece is actually now back in my hand. So I'll show you later in the video the entire process, not only the measuring and drawing of it, but the process of the thing in my actual hand. And then in the next video, I will weld it and fabricate it and get it on the car. And then finally, a quick recommendation from Mike over at StanceWorks to a particular company that makes turbochargers. And when I came back today from my trip, there was a stack of really cool boxes. So make sure you stay tuned to check out that unboxing at the end of the video. In the meantime, let me show you how I created the beginning of a radiator overflow tank from a very unlikely source that's been sitting on my shelf for many, many years now. Well, the first big project of this episode is kind of an ambitious one. I still need a radiator overflow tank. So this is where you'd go to actually fill your radiator fluid, and it needs to be above the lines of the car so I can breathe the air out of the lines. I had this idea that I don't know if it'll work. I did post it on Pelican, of using this old Porsche oil tank that I had, because obviously it bolts perfectly into the location, and I'm still thinking I could pull it off. This is the oil inlet tube, which I can weld or braze on a radiator outlet, if you will. The only real downside right now is I have to, it's rusty up top here. I revealed some holes and I want to see if it's fixable. So I'm going to pull this mounting tab off, kind of see where the rust is. I've already done a preliminary clean with some diesel fuel. If it's fixable, I'd love to give it a go because it would be a really cool, elegant solution to an overflow tank. It would actually fit like an OEM tank would. So I'm going to rinse this thing with Simple Green and see how clean I can get it overall before I start trying to grind or anything and make sparks and potentially ignite things. So I'm going to start there and see what kind of progress I make. So this is what I've got. I've got a pretty rusty corner here, and I cut the vent neck off because I don't think I need it. I think what I'm going to do is try to cut a piece here and weld in a patch. And while I have this piece off, I'm going to really examine the inside and see if I can really clean it out really well. I think if I didn't have this big chunk and then this hole, that I might actually use some JB Weld instead, but since I've got all this rust that runs all the way along, I'm just going to cut it and patch it and then just fill these holes while I go. Okay, I've just spent an hour at least cleaning this thing, and it looks really good. The only thing I have left to do is there's this pipe that's kind of running this way, goes here, and then it loops over to here. I'm actually going to take a hole cutter, and I'm going to cut a hole here and pull this pipe out. All right there, gang. I have a gutted, very clean tank. I'm really excited about this. I think it might actually work. I've just ordered online a filler neck that will turn this into a radiator fill. And I'm not totally sure. I'm not going to get it all together today because I wanted to wait till I get everything. I don't know what exact ports I need in and out yet, so I'm going to hold off on that for now. And I should be good. I think, though, and this is just, don't quote me on this, I think I can put a port here and a port here. And you guys tell me. I don't know a whole lot about radiators. I think I need an in and an out. And this is the fill. Maybe I just need one out. I don't know. You guys tell me if you would. And then I think I could probably bolt this thing back in, or, you know, weld a circle around this again. I mean, I'm just making this into a big dumb tank. The advantage of it is that it fits beautifully in the wheel well, and the air is going to be higher than the lines. So I'm gonna leave this for now. I've got actually a kind of a project that I've always wanted to involve you guys in, which is I need to create a transmission mount for the G96 transmission to my custom Subaru cradle that I made. So it needs to hold the front of the transmission. So what I'm going to do is bolt the engine in. Okay, this is actually the first time this engine has been officially bolted in all the way since the paint's been done. So the moment of truth is to try to release this and hope that the whole thing doesn't tip up like it did before. There it is, not tipped up. So now that it's mounted, I'm gonna jack the car back up and lock it out so I can get underneath. Okay, that was legitimately gnarly. When I moved my quick jack all the way up to its full position, the car was like, meh, like it really wanted to go. Boom! Now it's got all that rear engine, all that weight. There's really nothing in the front. It's just super light up here, and it just wasn't happy. So I brought it down one level. So it's not quite as high as I would like it to be to work underneath it, but it's locked out. The weight is now shifted towards the front for the quick jack, and I feel much better. Okay, so I thought this would be a cool opportunity to show you guys something I've not shown on the build at all, which is the process of digitizing a file, sending it to SendCutSend, who has been nice enough to sponsor this build, and then hopefully we get back a perfect piece that we can weld together. So what I need is, I need a mount for the front transmission. I don't have one. It's literally been sitting on a temporarily welded crossbar that I put up there, but I need a permanent solution, obviously. So I need to measure out this part of the transmission, which is basically the center front of the transmission. And then this is my crossbar that I've already fabricated. And that's gonna go across. It's gonna span the distance between the two arms. And then this thing's gonna mount up here. So what I need to design are the ears that go from these two bolt holes and then to this piece. And what I think I'm gonna do, this is gonna be a little challenging for me because I've never done it, but I'm gonna design the ears so I can slide them over this mount. They will then bolt up to this, and then I can weld these things on, and they'll just be rings all the way around. So it'll be super strong. And that's the hope. So I need to measure this thing up a bunch. Hopefully it'll be relatively easy. This is not my strong suit. I'm not a digital designer, but hopefully we can get there, and I will show you the process. First things first, we need to measure this thing up. I've got basically this old cutting wheel. I'm gonna use that as my first little circle template here. And we're gonna draw a couple of holes in their relative spot. Then we're gonna draw another hole that will represent the tube. And that's gonna go there-ish. So that's what I've got. Now I need to do actual measurements. I'm gonna do this in millimeters. You can choose to do whatever you want, obviously. These holes are exactly 10 mil, 25 millimeters apart. So center to center is 25, and these are 10. This guy, I'm gonna break out my calipers. This guy is, let's call it 34. That way I have a little wiggle room. So we'll call this 34 mil. My diameter here, I don't really need this diameter. It doesn't really do anything, but I'm going to measure it anyway because It'll make my piece a little nicer, I think. 75, we'll call it 75. The last measurement I need is how high, how close to the edge this one is versus this one. About 18 mil. The one measurement I don't have yet, and I'll do that in a second, is how much distance between these, like this bottom hole, the edge of the bottom hole, and then the top of this tube. And I have to go under the car and do that, so I'll wait on that for a second. I don't have my screen recording software on this computer, so we're not doing it. Create a sketch. Let's start with a center diameter circle, dead ass center. And that is going to be 10 millimeters. Yep, that's good. I'm good with 10. And now I'm going to make another one. We're going to make that 10 millimeters. And we are going to make this sketch dimension there until there. We're going to make that 25. Center to center. Okay, that's good. And now I'm going to make a circle that is, let's call it here, and go out, and that is going to be 75 mil. And now I do a dimension from that point until that edge, and we're going to make that 18. That's right. Okay, I hope this comes through okay. So this is what I have so far. This is basically a replica of this now on screen, okay? I've got my holes, they're 10 millimeters, they're 25 mil apart center to center, and a circle that is 75 millimeters. So that basically reproduces the inside of the mount. All right, next, I've got my pipe here. And I'm gonna double check the diameter of this just because I don't trust myself. My dimension was 34 millimeters, and it looks like 34 mil, so we're cool there. So I'll make another center point circle, and that is going to be 34 mil. I just type in 34, boom. So now I have my mount, and I've got the circle. Now is a good time for me to measure. Basically, I need to measure from the bottom of the bottom mounting hole to the top part of the tube. I might give this another dimension. I might make it 35 millimeters just to give me like a half a millimeter all the way around to make it a little bit flexy, and that's okay. I may give this thing a little bit of tolerance as well, make these like 10.5 millimeters just so a bolt slides through them pretty easily. It's never a bad idea to have a little bit of wiggle room here. So I'm gonna pop out real quick and measure from the bottom of this hole to the top of this tube. Okay, so I have my dimension. First, I'm gonna make this thing 35 mil and just give myself a little bit of wiggle room. I'm gonna make these 10.5 mil. Give myself a little bit of wiggle room, maybe 11. Why don't I just do 11? Again, not a bad idea to give myself, it's 1 mil, you know? And I'll do the same thing here. Just a little bit of wig, you know what I'm saying there, kids? So this sketch dimension, go that point to this point, and that is, wow, that is 45.501. It's literally spot, my eyeballs are something else, you guys. My eyeballs are really something. That's fine. I'm okay with 45.5 millimeters. 5.5. Yeah, great. Done. That's crazy. So I'll call that 45.5 mil. It's perfecto. All right. Now, I did discover something when I was under the car. The transmission kind of curls around right here. Hey, I'm doing a video. Shush, 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 Ben. I want to make a mount that comes around like this, but I don't want it to be impeded on here. So I'm actually going to cut this section out a little bit. For this, I'm going to create an arc. I'm just going to put one here, one there-ish, and one here. and literally just cut this thing out like Pac-Man style. And now all I gotta do is create a center diameter circle here. Let's bust this thing. That's what, 35 mil. Let's make this like a 10 mil. Let's make it a 45. Oops, so that's a 10 millimeter span. And then I've got to connect a line from here to there. And let's see if I can do the tangent thing. I'm not very good at tangents yet, but I'm going to try it. So, tangent, this, that, and then tangent, that, and that. Okay, so now that's a tangent. Sweet. I'm going to do the next thing again. Draw it, boom, and then boom. There's my point. All right, now you'll see how this thing will come together. It's pretty cool. I'm going to, for now, finish the sketch. This is what it looks like right now. It's got all these wacky little parts. So what I do is I select, oops, select, and I extrude. But we'll do it 5 millimeters. Now, if I show you guys. Okay guys, so this is what my little bracket looks like right now. It's pretty cool. I've got my 2 mounting holes that will match up with these, like that. Oops. Match up with those like that. And then this thing comes down and ends up around the bar where I can weld it all the way around on each side. Obviously, once it's been bolted in, this part avoids the transmission. So right now it looks pretty good. I gotta tell you, like, I could not have done this not even very long ago. I was just not very good at any of this stuff, but definitely getting a little better at it. So here's the next phase, which is getting it to SendCutSend. There's a process called filleting you can do. I'll show you here. You just basically see how I can like curve the edges if I want to. I just kind of smooth this out a teeny bit and make it look a little better. So now, oh yeah, project. That's what I got to do. So I've got to project first. I do that. I hit OK. Now I've got purple links all over everything. That's correct. Now I can save as DXF. Here I am at SendCutSend.com. Once you've gone through the process of saving as a DXF, which is what SendCutSend needs, and doing that projection thing I just did, basically all you do is you click Get an Instant Quote. It's going to ask you what are your files. I'm going to drag the file that I just did in Fusion 360. It's going to look like that. It looks correct to me. So once I've added to cart, it's going to ask me what I want to make it out of. You can make it out of aluminum, carbon fiber, plastics, wood, anything you want. I'm going to choose metal. I'm going to choose steel. I'm going to choose mild steel. And I'm going to go with this 3.4 millimeters. It's like 3.1 is 1/8 of an inch. And you can go pretty big if you want to. But I'm going to go 3.4 mil, give myself a little bit of beef because it's a transmission mount. I just need one. It's literally $8.70. Actually, I need 2 of them. I'm sorry. I just need 2, 1 on each side. That is $6.96. And there you go. You hit add to cart. You pay for it. You wait, usually a week or 2, and then you get the stuff back, and you have these brand new amazing mounts that I'll show you when these things arrive. So I hope you guys found that useful. I'm happy to answer any questions I can. I'm not an expert, and I'm just getting my grips around moving around Fusion 360 and becoming a little more proficient at like measuring it and getting exact measurements and things like that. So hopefully it works the way I had intended. That would be fantastic. I do have actually a couple other things that I'm going to create for this order. So I will not bore you with that, but I'm going to measure a few other things and see if I can make a couple other brackets that will, solidify, make some gussets. You got yourself a good gusset? I'm gonna make some gussets and try to strengthen this thing up a little bit. All right, we're going to start at the beginning here. I've got some seat rails that are just being refurbished, some bases. And here is the tank you just saw me weld and start the fabrication on. I can finish that now. I'm waiting on one more bung. This is a dash 16 bung. This will go here and get welded, and then another one will go there and get welded. The neck, which I thought was totally different actually, the neck actually looks very similar, except this one has 3 slots and the other one has 2. So I don't know what the story is there, but I may end up just cutting this and re-welding this spot and just using the original OEM neck. We will see. I've got so much stuff going on at the same time. It's hilarious. Okay, here we are. Here's the brakes. These are these lovely billet brakes from Carbon 12 Racing. And what I've done here is I've pulled them apart. And actually Max from RetroWorks Garage has pulled them apart for me. And we started the process of removing the zinc plating from these bolts so that I can paint the entire thing, because they're all chromed. And my impression was I couldn't just paint over them, but I'm actually going to ask the guy if that's okay. And maybe I don't need to do that. I can just prime the whole things and go. So let's head inside. I had this vision of keeping this thing completely beautiful and organized, and that lasted about a minute. But here's my table. It's still relatively organized. And I'll start here and work my way back. This is my final punch list. And it's color coded, so I've got like all my stuff that I need to order is in red. Yeah, pretty crazy. It's amazing the stuff that it's like everyone says, it's the minutia. But a lot of stuff has happened in the last couple of days, so hopefully we're good. Ben got a new squeaky. Started working on the wiring, and specifically I got an OEM headlight, and I'm making sure I know what wires do what, so I can integrate it with my American Auto Wire wiring kit. I've gotten a few other bits that I can use from my buddy, so those will be good. And I'm going to take you guys through, actually we'll do this first. I can fabricate that intercooler, which is hiding underneath this shelf, or I can buy one off of, you know, eBay or Amazon or whatever that's already set up the way I want it. It's exactly this size, which I made out of cardboard, and I might try to do this first. So if I can do this, then I'm good to go. But you can see I've run the wires for the taillights and things like that, so I'm really just starting to get in there for that. Coming around, there's a couple of things of major goodness happening. First and foremost, I've got my fuse panel mounted underneath here, under the dash, which is where it was going to be. It was actually going to be down there, but it actually fit here a little better. Secondly, I picked up today, and I'm going to talk about these guys in a second, but I picked up this Renline dash cover, and this thing fits beautifully over this entire section. So I'm going to have to trim it a little bit, but it's going to be great. And then I got a riser for my 996 shifter. The creme de la creme, as they say in the creme business, are these absolutely gorgeous seats from Sparco. These are sort of as vintagey as they get, but they look so badass in here. Leather and Alcantara. They will not, right now I'm working with Brian from Achtung Craft, who has these beautiful like woven leather. And they said at Sparco that if I can get them the woven leather, that they can change this insert to whatever I want. So we're gonna try to do that. Brian has this beautiful woven leather that actually happens to be olive green. So it'd be really, really cool if I could pull that off and have a really custom feel. Next, you will notice there's some wheels on the car. These are not the wheels, but they are wheels. These are 16 by 8 and by 9, loaned to me by a buddy. If we have to, we can get to SEMA wheels. I have two other wheels that are in progress right now, because basically my wheels got delayed till mid-November. So if I can pull it off, I still have a set of custom wheels hopefully being made. If not, that's okay, because Pelican has another set of wheels that are 17s like this that I might be able to put on, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So I have to say something. Renline has been, like, if everybody could be as cool as Renline has been for this build, literally, every time I've said, oh my God, guys, I need this thing, they're like, come over and get it. So I went over there today. You know, Renline is part of Pelican now, Pelican Parts. And they're such OGs of the Porsche parts world, but they also make stuff for like Boxsters and 996s, 997s. I think Audis, BMWs, like they do a lot of stuff for a lot of different cars. And their stuff is so well built and so well thought out. So between them and Pelican, you know, if you guys can't support the channel with money, which is fine, I'm not asking you to right now, even though I've had an ad earlier in the show, support Renline. You know, like when you need to buy a part, look, you'll be shocked at the kind of things that Renline makes. You won't even know that Renline makes this or that. And they just came out with this friggin' unbelievable shifter, which is badass. So if you have a Porsche with a 915, Renline's new shifter is crazy cool. It's like super long and rally style. But between Renline and Pelican, you know, at the very least, follow them on Instagram and just write them and say, hey man, thanks for supporting this build. I'm not Hoonigan. I'm not even Home Built by Jeff or Mighty Car Mods or any of those channels that are huge. But like the amount of support I've gotten from those guys, literally just saying, come on over, take what you need, put it on this cool car, has been unbelievable. So what I've done is grabbed one of their, amongst other things, grabbed one of their smuggler's box covers, which I will put under their battery setup, which I have right there. I think it's just going to finish off the trunkle area in a good way. I got some parts from a buddy of mine that is like just door, you know, pieces, stuff that needs to go on the side trim. One question for you guys though, what glue do you like to use for your seals? I need to glue all the seals onto this bad boy, and I'm not exactly sure what glue to use. Let me show you the seat in the light because it's just gorge. Check that out. If you could smell it. Oh my God, you guys, if you could smell the Italian leather. It's also super light. It's got a fiberglass base. They have like obviously carbon fiber race seats. I didn't need that. Anyway, that is it for this tour. Back to me in the future. All right, if you guys don't realize how much I love you, I have resisted the urge to open these boxes because I wanted to do it with you guys. So I have all this stack of boxes. And then I have these couple boxes from SendCutSend. I haven't seen what's in these either. So I would really like to open them. And let's check them out together. So Mike Burrows over at StanceWorks said, you know, the people that have been so good to me are Garrett. And let me ask them if they'd be interested in your build. And they were. So they have sent 2 turbochargers and 2 intercoolers. These are the Garrett GTX 28 Turbo. Looks like they've shipped them to me with the compressor and the housing in separate boxes. What I don't know is if these are mirrored, which would be really cool. You know, sometimes they mirror turbos. These are nice. They're like a good compact size. They're not gigantic. This is, I think, a wastegate, but it is, oh my gosh, look at that. Yeah, so this is the housing. There's the housing. Oh. It's already got the V-band on it. A couple of clamps here. Goes like that. For all kinds of turbo goodness. Woo! That is yummy. So these must be wastegates. And wow, cool. This rad little wastegate, you guys. Look at that pretty thing. Easily the coolest part, I think, so far on the car. That is just gorgeous. This is gonna look really cool. I don't have a single idea of how to install any of the stuff you just watched me unbox. So my birthday is October 26th, and this feels like the ultimate birthday present I just got. All right, so here's what you guys just watched me fabricate. We have gone from this to this. We've got these awesome laser cut pieces that perfectly bolt up to the front of the transmission. And I will weld the bottom on, and I will have a perfect transmission mount. Thank you to SendCutSend for sending these. I actually have 2 more pieces from SendCutSend. I don't know if I showed you guys this, but I actually recorded a video of the prototype version of these, and I installed them, but I don't think I ever put the video out. This is essentially, I was trying to figure out how to cut perfect holes in bumpers. You know, you see these fiberglass bumpers that have these perfect, you know, slots cut out and things like that. And I said, I don't know how I'm going to do that as an independent dude in a garage. I don't have these precision machines or anything. So what I did is I designed this inner skeleton to go on the inside of the bumper. And the inner skeleton looks like this in the case of the front bumper. See that? So what I'll do is I will screw this into the bumper on the inside, and then I can use this almost like a router to help me make a precision cut around the other side of the bumper. And I hope it works, honestly. I hope I can make it really, really nice and tight. And I did the same for the front, and I've just redesigned the rear. And in addition to that, I've made these tabs that I'll show you guys in a sec. Okay, so here's the rear. This is what the rear, so these are the turbo holes in the rear bumper, and then this is where the exhausts go out of the bottom. The other thing I've done is I've designed these little tabs, and these are like little guys, are meant to basically, when I've got a hole here, I can just tack weld this tab onto the inside of the hole, and that gives me a place I can bolt a grill through if I want to put a grill on either one of these things. So I might have made them a little thick if I'm being honest. These might be a little bit thick, but it's gonna be okay. Looks good though, I'm pretty psyched. Lastly but not leastly is this. This was an email I got last week from, I get a lot of emails from like, you know, Chinese Amazon, like, you know, we've got a OBD2 tester. But this one was actually kind of cool. And it coincides with the high-tech nature of this build, which is, this is a full-on like 4K, I think, HD, whatever, mirror. And so this mirror actually clips on your existing rear view mirror. I don't actually even have a rear view mirror for this car, but camera in the back, camera in the front, and then you have this beautiful, like full-on modern video screen that is your mirror, and you can hook cameras to it. So if you see this right here, that is a front-facing camera, and then this kit comes with somewhere this guy, which is a rear camera, and my plan is to actually try to see if I can disassemble this housing, and I'm gonna drill a hole in my bumper and see if I can just like low-key mount this camera, you know, like wherever it would be cool, like right in the middle above the license plate or something. Then I have this panoramic view behind me. So if I wanna like change lanes or whatever and someone's in my blind spot, I got you. So I'm actually really psyched about this. I've got to buy a mirror on Amazon, just some rando mirror that I can put in the car, and then this thing just clips to it. And I don't know if it's secured somehow or not, but it's got a ton of wiring and stuff that you have to install. But man, I'm really psyched about it. I think it's going to be really cool. And it's kind of the first really high-tech item that I'm going to be installing in the car. I've always wanted to have cameras. And with my LCD screens that I'm going to have, like each gauge is going to be LCDs, not for this time around, not for SEMA, but once these things come in from Alibaba, I'll have some digital gauges that will look like Porsche analog gauges, but I'll have like boost control and things like that. It'll be really cool. So that is going to be it for this episode. I'm going to clean my huge Christmas/birthday mess up here and start planning out my week. I actually have friends coming to town just to manage my life and the destruction that is my life. So I can focus on trying to get this car done in the next 8 days or so. So it should be quite a grind. Thank you guys for watching. Love you all. Talk to you soon.